The books that I'm going to share with you today are all about the same topic. Let's see if you can guess what all of these books center around. They are all about amazing heroes who suffered unbelievable hardships during a horrible time in our history. These stories are all about survival and the will to live and see another day. They all center around one leader's horrible attempt to destroy an entire population of people. These books all take place during World War II in Germany. Have you guessed it? Yep, it is the Holocaust. And 3 of the books that I am going to show you are about children your age who, because they were Jewish, had to endure so much pain and torture in concentration camps that it is truly a miracle that they lived to tell their stories in these books. The 4th book that I'm going to share with you is about one boy's revolt against what was happening to the Jews during this time period and his need to stand up for what he knew in his heart was right. The first book is called Surviving Hitler, A Boy in the Nazi Death Camps by Andrea Warren. Jack Mandelbaum was an ordinary 12-year-old. He lived with his father, mother, older sister, and younger brother in Poland. He loved collecting stamps and going to the beach. When Germany started talking about bombing Poland, Jack's father sent Jack's family to live with his Jewish grandfather in a small village 300 miles away. On this day, Jack's life as an ordinary 12-year-old boy was over. As the Nazis continued to invade Poland, the Jews were targeted and treated horribly. As Jack begins to think that things cannot possibly get worse, his family is taken by the Nazis and put in a concentration camp. On his first day in this horrific place, Jack meets an older man. This man gives Jack a bit of advice. Think of this as a game, Jack. Play the game right, and you might outlast the Nazis. As Jack awoke the next day, he found out that the Nazis did not have any rules to their so-called game. Jack found out that there was no reason why a prisoner was singled out by the guards. Blows were random and unexpected and undeserved. A rubber truncheon across the back, a gun butt to the ribs, a kick in the rear or stomach. It happened all the time. Maybe you stepped out of line, or maybe the capo just didn't like you. They could curse you, take food from you, or even beat you to death. No one stopped them. For every dead prisoner, there were a dozen to take his place. This book is a true story of the unimaginable game that Jack had to endure, and his story is one of unbelievable courage and survival. Surviving Hitler, A Boy in the Nazi Death Camps by Andrea Warren. The next book begins like this. If I had known what the next 6 years of my life was going to be like, I would have eaten more. I wouldn't have complained about brushing my teeth or taking a bath, or going to bed at 8 o'clock every night. I would have played more, laughed more. I would have hugged my parents and told them that I loved them. But I was 10 years old, and I had no idea of the nightmare that was to come. None of us did. These are the remarkable words written by young Jakob Gruner as he begins to tell his story called Prisoner B3087, written by Alan Grants. Jakob is ripped from his family at age 10, and for the next 6 years has to endure an unbelievable amount of horror and torture as he is prisoned in 10 different concentration camps. He is a young boy struggling to survive, trying to understand. Why me? I am just a child. What did I do to deserve this? This is Jakob's story, and the courage and willingness to survive is truly an inspiration to anyone who reads this book. Prisoner B3087. Amazing. The third book about the Holocaust that I am going to show you is a New York Times bestseller. It is yet another story of an amazing Holocaust survivor, and this survivor's name is Leon Layson. And through his horrible experience in the Nazi death camps in Germany, he found a hero. I know you're thinking, a hero in the Nazi death camps? Here is how his story begins. Not even the scariest of fairy tales could have prepared me for the monsters I would confront while just a boy of 10 years old, or for the hero, disguised as a monster himself, who would save my life. These words are spoken by Leon Layson, and this book is titled The Boy on the Wooden Box. This story is told by Leon Layson, and it is a true account of the pain and suffering that he had to endure, all because a man named Adolf Hitler did not like the Jews. This story also does something else. It introduces us to a man named Oskar Schindler, who, even though he is a Nazi, became a hero to young Leon Layson and many other Jews during this time. You need to read this book and find out how this young boy survived things that no child should have ever had to experience, and how a Nazi hero helped him. The last story that I'm going to share with you takes place during World War II in Germany, just like all of the other stories. It is a story about a young 15-year-old boy named Helmuth Hubner. Helmuth is not a Jew, but he has many friends at school who are, and many of his neighbors are Jews too. Helmuth lives in Germany at the time when a man named Adolf Hitler takes over power. Helmuth knows he is supposed to support his country and its leaders, and yet the Nazis feel dark and threatening to him. Every day it seems the Nazis pass more laws against the Jews. Helmuth sees terrible signs all around the city that read, "Jewish swine," "Jews out," and horrible, horrible, "Jews die." He is so confused. How does this hate and meanness build a better Germany? As Helmuth sees all of the injustices and cruelties that Adolf Hitler is ordering, he knows he needs to do something. What will young Helmuth Hubner do? Read The Boy Who Dared by Susan Campbell Bartoletti to find out how this young boy went against the Nazis and stood up for what he believed was right. All of the books that I have shown you today have one common theme: survival. These stories are all true and are all filled with much pain and suffering. They are stories that will show you the true meaning of determination and the will to live. Which one will you choose first? Surviving Hitler, a boy in the Nazi death camps about young Jack Mandelbaum, and the terrible game that he had to play to survive the Nazi concentration camps? Or Prisoner B3087, about young Jakob Gruner, the young 10-year-old boy who would have to survive 10 different concentration camps? Or will you choose The Boy on the Wooden Box, the story of Leon Layson, who would by sheer luck meet a Nazi savior during this horrible encampment? Or do you want to read The Boy Who Dared, the story of Helmuth Hubner and his quest to go against the Nazis and stand up for the Jews and their unfair treatment. But I do have to tell you, there is a warning. All of these books that I have shown you are true accounts of these Holocaust survivors. Their stories can be graphic and brutal. The experiences that they endured included much pain and suffering, and that hardship is told to you in these stories. Be prepared to feel those injustices as you read the pages of these books.